Alright, what's going on, guys? So, basically, there's a couple of things I'm going to cover today. There's two main things I'm going to cover. One is going to be very, very simple, and it's just one of the most common things I see in Linux or Unix, depending on what you're using. But it's the reason it's so common is because Linux does have an actual find file or files search or find option, but it's really bad. Okay, it rarely ever works. So one thing I'm going to show you very first thing, it's really quick and easy, is how to make that option better, basically, or how to make your own. Okay, so first command you're going to do is basically you're going to do this du command. Okay, du is just going to display. Here we can actually just do du. So du, you can see it's just displaying all your directories basically, right? So the command I'm using is du tac a for all, and then it's saying the forward slash is saying root. Okay, so I want the root directory. So from root on, so everything on this system, and I want it written to this. The home is just a variable. Okay, so that's just my home directory, and I named it search file. It can take a second, so I'm not going to do it for you guys. I already did it. That's why I'll show you. You can see it right there, search file. Okay, and I'm going to show you. You're just going to do a grep, and you're just going to grep that search file. Okay, so I'm grepping, and I'm putting the tac I. That just means case insensitive, and then the credit card.txt, which I know it's right here. It's in the root directory, and then I'm specifying what I'm searching. So I'm looking for this credit card.txt file, and then I'm searching my file for it. Okay, so now I'll just search it, and look how fast it came back. Right, it found it in the root directory, credit card.txt. Now let's do find credit card.txt. Okay, well, it found it there, but a lot of times, just FYI, the find command doesn't necessarily work all the time. So this home, or this search file, you can call it whatever, a flat file, search file, it's called a lot of things. It's super important to do, and keep in mind that you have to update it when if you do anything to your system, because those new directories won't be there. But anyway, the reason it's super important is it's much faster than your find command, and your find command doesn't always work the way you think it will. I've had a lot of issues in the past. I haven't really messed with the find command on this newer Kali, so maybe they fixed it. I don't think they did, but it's been an issue for years and years. So anyway, that's a simple way, just FYI, to search your directories very quickly. The grep command works way better. Just got to create that file. So anyway, now let's get on to invasion techniques. So this is a really cool lesson, okay? So I'm going to pull up my command prompt. You can see here that we have, this is my IP address right here for my Windows machine, not for my Kali machine, okay? And watch, we're just going to nmap it, right? So it was, what was it, 17, I don't even remember, 172, excuse me, 20, I'll just move it over this monitor, okay, 172.20.1.223. Okay, boom. So we're gonna nmap it, and I didn't have to do a full nmap. I could have just done a. Okay, so it actually found it, which is kind of surprising. I'm actually very surprised that it found it, to be honest with you. But now we'll just do a ping scan. So I don't know why it keeps flashing like that. Sorry about that if you guys see it. So we'll just do nmap to see the options. We'll go up to ping scan, which is SN. Where is it? I'm trying to show you guys here. There's SN ping scan. So we'll do nmap SN, and we'll do that same IP, which was 172.20.1.223. Okay, so host is up. That's good. We've got the nmap scan. So now the question is, let's go ahead and run this. We'll go ahead and run the if config just to make sure that, or the IP config on my Windows machine, just to confirm. Okay, good. make sure that the IP stayed the same. Since I am on a public network, I didn't want to be scanning the wrong thing. So anyway, so we've got the nmap. It's saying it's up, right? So that's good. Now what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and do a stealth scan. Okay, so let's say, for instance, if you've ever scanned a system where the firewall is blocking it, or the router or an intrusion prevention device is blocking it, something like that's blocking it, okay? So this is where it's going to become really important. So a stealth scan, which is typically your default scan anyway, so we're not going to get too crazy, but it should basically do what's called a stealth scan or a half open scan. Don't worry about that. Basically defaults that way anyway, but the ping scan does the same thing. So let's say, again, your firewall is preventing this, right? So there's a couple different options that you can do. So first things you're going to do, you're going to do a V. That's verbose. It's just going to give you a little bit more information. And all these, again, you can find. So one thing you can do, one option you can do is attack F, okay? So this, what it does is it fragments your packets. So it basically breaks those packets up. The reason for that is because a lot of routers and a lot of firewalls and things, they're looking for specific packets, okay? So they know what an nmap scan looks like to their system. So we'll run it. Obviously, you're going to see same type of thing. You just see a little bit of more information as far as the verbose. That's fine. But the thing is, it's breaking those packets up so that if a firewall or a router is specifically looking for an nmap scan, it's going to actually not see it correctly, okay? So that's one option, okay? Now we'll keep that on there. Now keep in mind, because of the fact that the nmap scan worked just fine, we're not going to see anything different necessarily unless I scanned all the ports, which would take forever. But if this is what you're going to do typically on a machine that says all ports are filtered or host isn't up, even though you know it's up. So like, let's say I nmapped this computer and I know that computer's on, but it's saying host isn't up, host isn't up. That typically means that something's blocking that ping scan, okay? So this is the type of stuff you're going to do, and some of the scans you're going to do to get around that. And this is very important for you to understand what you're doing and not just type out the command and hope for the best. So again, the F fragments it. So the fragmenting, again, breaks up those packets and makes it more basically harder to read for a firewall if that firewall is made to block specific packet sizes or something like that. Another thing you're going to do is you're just going to do this --MTU and then space 32. So what that's saying is that's actually specifying that we want them 32 bytes, the packets. Now, you can do this, but do them in bytes, like 8 bytes, 16 bytes, 32. 32 would be the max, I'd say. But basically what it's saying is you want these very, very small packets. Again, this is kind of the same thing. This is going to fragment those packets to make it non-readable. The difference is here you can specify the size. So for instance, if you tried the fragment and it didn't work, maybe you could try the MTU and make it very, very small, like an 8-byte file or 8-byte packet, and then that might actually work because the firewall might be looking for anything over a certain amount or under a certain amount, right? So again, we'll run it. You'll see you're going to keep getting the same results most likely. And again, the main reason I don't have it set up, and you can see here, I'm not going to keep doing that, but it's decreasing it's sending so many more packets at this point because of how small they're making them that it has to actually increase the delay. Because it's going to keep trying to send them, and a couple of them are going to get blocked and things like that, so or drop or whatever. So it's going to increase the delay. And these scans, keep in mind, some of these scans, if you've ever used ZenMap, they have an intent scan, and that can take a long time. And same thing with these scans; they can take a long time. Okay, so we're going to delete the MTU. That's just need to know that that's what it does. It lets you specify the packet size. So another one we're going to do is tac, and we're going to do send. And then we're going to say ETH. Now, the whole point of this, the whole point of this is you're specifying that you want something sent as an Ethernet packet, right? So you want to basically convince that machine that it's coming as an Ethernet packet. So again, you're going to get the same thing. But the reason this is so important is if that is picking it up as something basically dangerous or something like that, you can specify what type of packet it's going to think is coming in. Now, again, that's important because if this is being sent from a foreign machine or something, the firewall's still going to recognize it's from a different source, but it's going to think it's an Ethernet packet, it's coming over Ethernet, and it should be in the network and it's safe. Now, again, none of these are going to be foolproof or a guarantee on every network. You have to understand when to use what and basically be intelligent enough and practiced and versed enough in nmap to know when you're basically leaving a trail for yourself and you're getting caught, right? So me scanning the same network 50 times, I know I'm going to end up getting busted probably but luckily I'm scanning my own machine. But the point is, excuse me, is you're going to have to understand what you're doing, what types of scans you need to do, and things like that. Now this comes just with practice and practice and practice and practice with nmap. Get some, as you can see down here, I'm downloading another Windows 10 client. That's a UFC fight, but it is downloading in the background. A Windows 10 client VM. I'm on public network or my hotel's network, so it's going to take forever. But otherwise, I would have that VM running and I'd show you guys because I'd enable the firewalls and stuff like that. It's a little harder to do basically when you're on the same machine scanning the other machine, but that's fine. I could still try and set it up and block it and everything, but this still shows you the same thing without all that hassle, right? So now keep in mind, well, all we've done so far is the stealth scan. Most people, even though that's the default scan, most people still specify the stealth scan. It's just something that most people have been taught and do, and I recommend it just for ease of use purposes. The V for verbose just gives you this a little bit more information. The F, again, is fragmentation. And then we've specified that we want to send Ethernet packets, right? So now we'll go ahead. Another thing that most people do will be a T. And most people use 4, but we're going to use 5 just for ease of or for this video's purposes. But that's going to specify time. So if you slow it way down, it's going to slow down, send packets slower, right? Again, that's another way to be stealthy. But again, I'm not worried about getting caught here. I'm scanning my own machine. So anyway, so another thing we can do, and I'm not going to actually send this one just because there's no really necessity to. So we can do data length, okay? So what this is we can specify how many packets. So we can do 50, 500, etc., etc. And this is going to help us basically, same type of thing. If this is blocking because too many packets are getting sent or something like that, we can actually specify exactly how many we want sent. And if you guys have followed my stream, you know that we learned how to figure out how much data these routers and modems can take, how much data a web server can take, blah blah blah, simply by doing different commands. And that's another video, but that's kind of what you're doing here. Is you're kind of seeing how much information that they allow in, and you're going to specify your scan towards that information. So if you know that only allows 32 bytes of data and 50 packets, you're probably going to specify towards that, right? You're not going to send 500 packets if you know it's going to block them, right? So that's kind of the thought process here. Another thing you can do, again, I'm not going to do it here, is you can do source port, and you can specify what port you want it coming from. So there's certain ports that computers recognize as services that most computers use. So if you know a port will respond to you, use that port if necessary, right? If you're not getting the results you want. So like let's say we know port 80 is the HTTP, we know port 443 is HTTPS, etc., 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 whatever. We can send scans directly from those ports because we know that computer's capable of receiving information on there. Now, this might be where you may have to change what type of packet you're sending, things like that, depending on the port. But this is kind of the thought process behind it. So this is the type of stuff you need to focus on if you're not getting the results you want. So again, we'll do this. We'll get rid of all this, and we'll just do a stealth scan. Okay, that did not get rid of it all, but that's fine. we'll just do a stealth scan, time 5, and verbose, right? Same results because the firewall's not blocking right now. Not a big deal, right? That seems like a common result. We got the ports we wanted. Now, granted, we didn't do all the ports, we just did the common ones. But keep in mind, a lot of machines you scan, depending on how their firewall set up, depending on how their intrusion prevention system set up, depending on how their router set up, depending on how everything is set up, it might just say, or if you're scanning a router, it might just say all packets are filtered, right? Well, that might be the case, but there's still ways to get through that, and there's still ways to find out what's available. Now, don't sit there and waste your time and scan something and say, well, I think this host may be up, but it's not. Okay, we'll run a ping scan, see if it's up. Run a scan as if it's up, see what happens. But don't just sit there and run scans on a dead machine just because you think, okay? Because a network has so many IP addresses that you'd be there forever. So that alone is mainly for if you know it's up, okay? Keep that in mind. Use other techniques to try and figure out if it's up. If you know it's up, sit there, do these techniques, learn nmap, okay? Now I know we've uploaded nmap before, but this is a little bit more in depth of nmap. This is kind of explaining to you some of these delimiters. It's kind of explaining, what the V stands for, the T5 is time, the F for fragmentation, the sending of specific types of packets and stuff like that. And if you type nmap, you get these results, right? You get similar things, but this kind of shows it in use. So, for instance, there's your F and there's your MTU, and it tells you the value. So you can actually specify with MTU exactly what size, which we showed. You can send decoys. Now, the reason for this is it's going to act as if coming from there's multiple different packets coming in. It's not just one thing going boom, 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 give me information, stuff like that. S, you can spoof your IP address. I mean, there's a million things you can do, and you can test these by using Wireshark. So what I mean by that, open up a Wireshark instance here. Open up Wireshark. I don't know why it keeps flashing like that. Open up Wireshark. Send these packets. Open them on both machines, Wireshark on both machines, and watch these packets send. So, for instance, if you're trying to spoof an IP address, open up Wireshark on this machine, on your Kali machine and your Windows machine. Send spoofed packets from a spoofed IP, and see how the Wireshark operates. See if it says it's spoofed, if it's not spoofed, etc., etc. Stuff like that. That's what you want to be doing with nmap, to actually mess with it, okay? To practice. Set up different firewall settings and see if it blocks the pings. Set up all kinds of different settings and see if you can scan through them. Set up all kinds of things like that. If you have intrusion prevention systems, set them up. Now, keep in mind, an intrusion prevention system is different than an intrusion detection system. The reason that's important is because you may be scanning and an intrusion detection system already picked you up, knows you're scanning their system, and is now logging what you're doing, okay? That's different than a prevention system. A prevention system may just say, block it, block it, block it. And there's ways around that. But a detection system, you may not know it detected you, and you may just be walking into a trap or a honeypot or something like that. So keep these things in mind when you're scanning. This is a huge thing to learn. Nmap is, especially some of those techniques we just discussed. Those are the most common, I would say, as far as advanced techniques. Now, I do that because most people cater their scans directly towards certain machines, things like that. But keep in mind, these are some of the techniques that you should be practicing besides just simple nmap T4, all ports, that type of thing. These need to be kind of in your repertoire, and you need to know what they do and how to use them. Another thing to keep in mind is this file right here, your search file that I specified in that command. Now, the reason I say that is because that's one of the most common things I see newer Linux people and Unix people doing. I even still do it time to time just because I'm so used to having that functionality of just, oh, I'll just search for it, I'll just find it, whatever. And I just will type, I'll do it all the time. I've done it on stream, on videos, where I'll just type find and look for it, and I'm like, didn't find it. Of course it didn't. The command just isn't what it should be, in my opinion. So this is what they call a flat file, search file, whatever you want to call it, and that's what it does. It simply will allow you to have a file of all your directories. If you open it up, now it's going to be huge, so we'll see what it does here. But if you open it up, look, all it is every directory on your system. I'm not going to sit there and do it, but all it is every directory. So when you grep it, it's just saying, show me this specific folder, this specific name. That's all it is. So it's just a faster search function, in my opinion. That's all there is to it, guys. Let me know what you guys think with the nmap. Once this system gets downloaded, this new Windows system, I have it on my home computer, but I didn't have it on my laptop, the Windows image. So once I get the Windows 10 image, I'm going to show you guys a few more things as far as actually connecting to the host and doing what you can do once, you know, that type of thing. The big thing here, though, is this is evading intrusion detection or intrusion prevention systems and firewalls. You have to know how to scan through a firewall. If you don't, all that's going to happen is any device that's somewhat up to date, you're going to scan, it's going to say either it's down or all ports are filtered, and you're just going to go, well, okay, got to go to the next one. There's so many machines out there that are vulnerable, but they're just filtered because the firewall or the router or the modem or whatever the case may be is set up to not allow that type of scan in. So just work around it, outsmart it, okay? So think of it that way. Again, let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoy these streams, definitely hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit that sub button. And let's go ahead and let's keep pressing with these CEH labs. We're about, I would say, 3/4 of the way done now. I'm skipping over some of them. I know I said I wasn't going to skip over some, but a lot of them are just, I don't even know what you'd call it, but basically they're either super outdated or they're such easy tools to use, such as, like I said in the last video, the rats, remote access Trojans. The ones they wanted you, basically what they want you to do is they want you to download it, open it up, type in an IP address, it installs the rat, and then you just click open desktop or, you know, whatever. To me, you're not learning anything at that point. All you've done is learn that if I can hand someone a file and they open it, I win, which, correct. So what I'm trying to do is show you how to get that file to someone and things like that. To put on yesterday's video with the, as far as sending an email with fake URLs and stuff like that, I am going to do a video on how to hide URLs, even though that's not an actual CEH lab, but that kind of goes hand in hand with some of the stuff I'm teaching. I think it's important. So again, guys, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.